What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Time Killers podcast. My name's Neil Rivera, and today I am killing time with Mr. Wesley Rivera. He just took a hit of his Benjamin. How you feeling, Wes?
I'm feeling zooty tooty, and I need some fruity because I like the sweets.
I was gonna say it was probably a better transition to say that you're feeling fruity, but I guess that's probably
Always feeling fruity.
I'm also killing time with Mr. Matthew Field. As far as I know, he's not under the influence of any drugs or alcohol. But Matthew, please feel free to correct the record.
That is correct. Less tooty and fruity over here.
It's always good to know that I've got an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other in you two. So, we're glad you guys are here with us today. It's episode 3. Hard to believe that we've done 3 of these now. But yeah, I mean, thank you guys for joining us today. If you guys haven't already, we would like that you guys follow us or subscribe to us here on whatever podcast service that you use. Throw us a follow over on social media. We include all of the social handles in our description: Blue Sky, TikTok, etc. Follow us on your podcast service of choice, of course. Leave us a review. Do all of the things. I'm getting better at the self-promotion thing. I think as a guy who has a full-time job in marketing, I need to be better about marketing. So we're getting better at that. With that being said, guys, we got a great show lined up for you. I've been playing Doom, the Dark Ages, and we are going to talk about kind of like a Q1 wrap-up in review, and then on the back half of the show, we're just kind of shout out some of the things that we've been playing, kind of like on the side, off the record. So with that being said, guys, let's talk about Doom, the Dark Ages. This is the latest from id Software and published by Bethesda. Interestingly enough, a nice little caveat, this is the first Doom game since the Bethesda acquisition, as far as I know. So it's the first Doom game that's day and date on Xbox Game Pass. And yeah, so I mean, it's as somebody who has played all of these new Doom games since 2016, this is now the third reboot of the Doom series. As someone who's played all of them, like, I've really had a good time with this one. But I'm curious. I'm interested to see how you guys, Matthew, what's your history with Doom? Where are you at with this one? I guess where's your hype level at in general?
Yeah, I played 2016 at launch, and I really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I had no history with like the Doom franchise. I just was not in those circles. I guess they were primarily I just a little before my time, and I for whatever reason had not played any of them until the 2016 reimagining, and I liked it a lot. I mean, I found the progression, the way that they built on the mechanics throughout the game, and the different enemy types that you fought really, really engaging, and it made full use of the tool sets that you had at your disposal. But never got around to Eternal, and I don't know. I didn't feel right to skip Eternal completely and go right to Dark Ages. I will say that the Dark Ages aesthetic is less my thing than like the sort of dark sci-fi.
I've got thoughts on the overall aesthetic too. And yeah, no, it's interesting that you say that you kind of missed the boat, because I distinctly remember like Doom and Mortal Kombat, like our cousins would play them. I don't know, Wesley, if you remember, you were like baby at that time.
Are we talking about Doom 2003?
No, even before. I'm talking like an OG Doom in the 90s. I grew up watching our
cousins
playing it on
that.
Like the old classic CRTVs. Yeah. Wes, what's your history with modern Doom then, since you didn't really play classic Doom?
I mean, I put in a good bit of time in 2016 Doom, and I remember when Doom Eternal hit PlayStation Plus, I gave it a little try and just kind of not for me. Everything about it just kind of should speak to me. Like, you're killing demons, you're going to hell, sometimes it's on Mars. Everything about that just seems really cool, but
yeah, I mean,
for me.
I think that there was there was a sort of subsect of people who liked Doom 2016 that were turned off by Eternal, despite it reviewing like pretty well on average. I do remember there being like a sort of a not a backlash, but like it was less unanimously loved than 2016. Neil, does that sound right to you?
I think I've got a very good analogy here, and it's very apt, and I think it's a good transition into like my thoughts on Doom: The Dark Ages specifically. So I would say like the original Doom 2016, like I would classify as like it's heavy metal. You know what I mean? Like it is just standard boilerplate, like just heavy metal. Doom Eternal is like speed metal or thrash metal, where it was just fast and it was just, you know, you had to like really lock in and get good. I happen to love it. And then I would say where, you know, like Doom: The Dark Ages is more like death metal, like the slow lumbering, like jum jum jum. So it's kind of been an interesting.
So you think it translates to the pace of the game as well, like of the combat and the yeah.
Absolutely. Let's. So let me set the stage, so to speak, in terms of like where I've been, historically with the series. So I've played off all three of them at this point. Now I'm practically done with Doom: The Dark Ages. I'm about to wrap it up. Played 2016. It was. Oddly enough, 2016 and Eternal both, I look back, they were both my number 2 on my top 10 game of the year that they came out. I loved them both. So yeah, and I mean, I think in terms of, you know, to answer your question, Matthew, specifically, yes, I do think it translates to the gameplay mechanics, because it's not speed metal. You are not encouraged to go fast at all. You can go fast, but you know, by the end of the game, like, you know, you've powered up to the point where you're practically unstoppable. But early on in the games, they really emphasized using the shield. That's kind of the big addition here mechanically, is that instead of traditionally in Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, each weapon had like an alt fire, and that was kind of like how the game progressed, is that you were unlocking the weapon, then you would unlock the alt fire, then you were leveling up each one. You know, each had its own skill tree. Instead of, you know, that sort of breaking it up that way, they just kind of introduce different melee weapons and shield with shield abilities. There's, you know, you can throw it, there's like a parry. There's lots of different, you know, ways that you can use the shield. And of course, the way that I think one of the most interesting things that they did with this is that there's actually different ways that you can interact with the enemies. So one example is, there are enemy types that have shields. So they'll have like, you know, metallic shields, or they'll have energy shields. The metallic shields, you can shoot them enough with regular bullets, but it won't damage the enemy, but then the shield will heat up. Then you throw the shield at it, it causes a big explosion, and then that's what, like, you can take out like an entire row of enemies. And of course, they do such a great job of laying out the enemies where they're like nice and neatly organized for you, to where if you just hit one of them, it just nice, you know, they roll out like dominoes, and it's so satisfying. And it's just, you know, by the end of this game, you're just steamrolling these dudes.
Yeah, and I think I've watched a couple like streams of Dark Ages, and there's another mechanic with the shield, right, where like when you have like a series of projectiles coming your way or something, there's like some that they're all red except for one that's green, and I think that green means you can deflect it, right?
Yeah, so there's a, you know, so I would say like the two main additions to the gameplay, like, you know, and I was originally going to start this, like my thoughts on Doom with like all of the negatives, because it very much feels like more Doom. It's just like the only real innovations here are the shield and the, but you know, the more I've played it, the more it's really grown on me, because it does, like, it's still the same formula, and it's still escalating, and like, you know, you level up up and scale up, and like just the way that it kind of sort of crescendos by the end of the game, like is just, it's almost just perfection in terms of just, difficulty scaling. But to get back to my original point, the two main gameplay additions here are parrying and shield throwing, essentially. And so when you do get the green attack, I think they're called like hell something, like hell bombs or hell whatever. They when you time it perfectly, it'll bounce right back at the enemy. There's different ways naturally that you can kind of upgrade that. You'll unlock different, like I think they're called shield runes, and so when you do the deflection, you can have it to where like a whole bunch of like mystical daggers fly out at the enemies, and then you can upgrade that to where it's like more and more of them, and then they explode, and then it escalates in such a way that, like I said, by the end of the game, it's just you are taking out rooms full of these dudes.
So
and of course, like, oh yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I like going back to the shield being the main new mechanic here. I mean, the shield is like by its nature, obviously like a reaction to an attack that somebody else is doing, versus like you being the aggressor with like the classic Doom shotgun or whatever. Does it feel like does part of the slowness of this game come from the fact that you are like you don't feel as much the aggressor? Like, does the shield change things to put you in more of a, like, does it want you to feel like you're in a more defensive position, or is it not that profound?
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say very much like in the first half, maybe third of the game, it definitely encourages you to. I think it just gets to a point where you have leveled up your abilities to where like you just have so many different options at your disposal, and so many different ways to sort of like cheese things and like infinite ammo glitch essentially. But I would say in the early parts, like I did have to adjust, and there are some enemies that have attack types that kind of sort of require you to go into a defensive position for a short amount of time. Yeah, that was sort of the biggest thing I think I had to sort of grapple my head with when I first started like playing and getting into it, because it is slower at first, but I think towards the end, I think that was sort of my thing, was like I was coming from Doom Eternal and like the climax of Doom Eternal and how good that was like from a gameplay perspective for me, and like honestly like I was higher, I was in the other category. I thought Doom Eternal was better than Doom 2016 in almost every way. Fight me, guys. And so, that being said, like it was an adjustment getting used to the slower POV. But I think what I will give this game credit for, and truthfully it's the team at id, is that they are just so innovative in the ways, the methods in which they give you to kill these guys, and just how, I mean, like I could sit here and talk about the different loadout that I use, but like, if you and I, like if you two had played this game, like we could very much cover like all of the different weapon types, because they're all so unique. They're all like badass in terms of like the design, the sound effects. I mean, getting into the like the presentation, the visuals, like this game looks awesome. It sounds awesome. I will say though, without Mick Gordon as the composer, you can feel like a diminishing effect in sort of the soundtrack. However, I will say the tracks as in the later stages have gotten better. It felt like akin to like the Guitar Hero when like Harmonix had to do the cover of the song when they couldn't get the rights for it, where it was like you could tell it was the cover of the song. So it's like, oh yeah, it's no disrespect obviously to the sound team, they did a great job. It sounds awesome, but it's not Mick. So yeah, I mean, yeah.
Wesley, go ahead.
I guess what I would ask is, since it's a bit slower than the previous two editions, taking on more of a defensive stance, it does sound like you're still getting that satisfying feeling of like the rip and tear. But do you think this move, this gameplay change up, do you think it was for the better in the sense of it's a breath of fresh air, or do you feel like if they'd done the same thing they did in the last two games, do you think it would have been a bit stale by this time? Do you think this move was necessary on its part?
Yeah, I think so. I think I can detect some of the elements of the like staleness and like some of the things. Like I think there's some elements with the progression that sort of feel stale at this point where, you know, it I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it. But I mean, I would say like the overall structure of the game, and I do, you know, Matthew, I know you kind of called out the art design as maybe not being for you. I sort of struggled in that a lot of it towards the until the end got to be a little samey. And you know, I think now at the end it kind of it's gotten into the more like sort of fantastical stuff, and so now I'm kind of like on board with it again. But yeah, I mean, I think you know, it's tough to rank this one. It kind of almost feels like a spin-off for me. Where I don't think it's necessarily like this is what the future of Doom looks like. It's like, oh hey, like this is a take on it. And you know, to use another analogy, it's kind of like the end credit sequence of 21 Jump Street, where they get into like all the different genres of spin-offs that they end up doing, where it's like, yeah, sure, let's see a fucking like Tony Hawk Pro Skater take on it, where Doom guy's on a skateboard. Why not? You know, like what are the cool inventive ways that they can give you to take out, you know, swaths of demons, because yeah, man, it's awesome, it's cool. And I mean, so like, Wesley, yeah, like to pitch you on this game. Sorry, Matthew. I just wanted to finish with Wesley. To my closing argument for you with Doom: The Dark Ages specifically is that it's literally a heavy metal Captain America game. Like you literally have the shield throw, the block, the parry. Like you feel it's as much of a Captain America game. Like I would argue that it feels more authentic to Captain America than the Marvel's Avengers Captain America felt.
I don't feel like that's a really high bar to set.
I don't know. I mean, I think Captain America was one of the better the feeling characters to play that. Matthew, what were you gonna ask?
Yeah, I mean, so I was gonna say, like, I as much as this aesthetic isn't for me, I do think that it's odd that we don't have more games that kind of look like this. I mean, the only other one I can think of is Brutal Legend.
Metal Hellsinger, which I mean is obviously like
that's what I was going to think of.
Yeah,
but I mean, yeah, like that's it.
But yeah, and maybe there's a reason for that, or maybe it's an underserved area that just isn't for me. I don't really know, but
historically, this you know, because like parents have seen this game. I mean, back in the old days, this game was kind of on the news for quite a bit. You know, you're killing demons, you're in hell. You know, it was really, this was one of the more unique games or game aesthetics that we see, and yeah, it makes sense that we really don't see a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think of all the series to go for this kind of like heavy metal, retro heavy metal aesthetic, it makes sense that Doom would be one to do it. I just think it is weird that they go back to that now at this point after having evolved so much with the last two entries.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to sort of paint the Dark Ages, is that it doesn't feel so much as an evolution so much as it does feel like you know, an iteration. As you know, like iteration's maybe not the best, but I mean, yeah, it feels like a different take on it. It feels, I mean, like I've kind of wanted to shy away from comparing it to the Miles Morales Spider-Man game, but I mean, it's similar to that in the sense of like it plays a lot like Spider-Man did, but you know, you got the Venom powers, you got the, you know, like the added, like, you know, the different kind of take on it, and you know, like I enjoyed, you know, bits and pieces of that, you know, and didn't enjoy bits and pieces of that. So it's kind of the same. I would put it in the same category as that, where, you know, and if I were putting a score on it, I'd put it somewhere in like the 8.5 range. You know, the one thing I think the one main detractor I will say is that like the story is practically nonsensical, but it almost tries to be too serious in trying to tell a story. So yeah,
I mean,
Wes,
the other ones kind of
yeah.
did that as well, though. Like, does it just not land as well here? Or does it do something? Does it do it differently than
It feels
2016 and Eternal
more.
did?
It feels more dramatic, but like not in a. I don't know. It feels almost like, oh man, like, trying to set the stakes as being high as like, like the Doomslayer might lose here. I don't know, man. It doesn't really, like, there's not much dialogue. There's not much, I don't know. Like, it's hard to explain comparative to, and maybe I need to just go back and play 2016 and Eternal just to get a sense of it. But like, it feels like those games were deliberately story light. Eternal, they kind of evolved and added a little bit here and there, but this almost feels like they're telling more, like they're trying to tell more of a story. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
I mean,
in that. I'm also
it's
not
interesting
super
you say
clear.
that, but like,
Yeah.
2016, I remember there being more story than I thought there would be, having not played a Doom game before. Like, I thought that there would be like zero story, but the fact that they even like, I mean, it's been a while, so I don't remember the specifics of it, but I remember that there were characters, there were like events happening here, and like, there was a plot. But you're saying they've gone too far in that direction here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's so I will say I did do some like a lore dive before we started recording, and it's supposed to, as far as I understand, there's Doom 1, 2, and Doom 64 are like the original trilogy, so to speak, and then this is the new trilogy. But then this, in terms of like the Doom timeline, which the fact that I'm even getting into the Doom timeline is ridiculous because like I don't understand. Like the games don't tell these stories in
What
this
about
way.
Doom 3? Is Doom 3 just on its own?
As far as I know, Doom 3 is not part of the canon timeline.
Okay, wow.
So yeah, I can drop, you know what I will do? I will drop a link to a Reddit thread in the description for everyone to read, because the Reddit thread, I think, described sort of like the lore very like definitively and like succinctly in a way that made it super easy for me to understand as somebody who like has just played these games to make like, oh yeah, click mouse and make demon explode.
Right.
I do have a final thought about I guess the change in themes historically, as a sci-fi hell shooter, and now we're in some sort of medieval setting. It makes me think about when Far Cry did what was it, Blood Dragon?
Oh man,
Yes,
so
the retro,
good.
yeah.
Do you guys feel that, because like Far Cry took a risk with that, and it was really cool, it paid off, and I feel like, Bethesda I feel like they've sort of done the same thing. Do you guys feel like more game series should take these sort of risks where it's like, hey, we're gonna make the same game that but we're just gonna change the entire like setting, scenery, aesthetics of it? Do you think we should see more of these types of games come in the future?
So I think that Game Pass, and this is a good segue into like just the Game Pass side of it, given that this is the first Game Pass title, the Doom Game Pass title. I think the Game Passification of it all, like, yeah, absolutely, like makes it so that I will say, like, there are signs, right, that this is more of a like, the budget for this might have been a little bit lower than Eternal was, let's just say, right? Like, you can
really
see that there, and not to like say that there's like the game's low quality, but like one thing I'll point out specifically is that, and maybe I'm playing this wrong, maybe I haven't, like, maybe I'm missing something, but one weird complaint that I have is that you go through a level, and maybe this is just a Doom thing that I may be forgetting, historical Doom thing, but like, you go through a level and like you get to the end and it kind of kicks you to like a summary screen, and then it just kicks you back to the main menu, which feels super jarring when like there are cutscenes before and like at the at the end of these, it's just like such a like a bland like mission complete, you know, like it's so like it feels at odds with like, oh, like we're also trying to deliver like some like intense cinematics, you know what I'm saying?
That is weird. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's, I mean, like it's, there are, it as, I don't know, like the fact that this game is on Game Pass has sort of loomed large for me. And like, as somebody who, you know, like admittedly, most of the games I've played this year, I think most, if not all of the games I've played this year have been primarily through Game Pass. You know, I'm starting to notice that like, you know, like I think they're encouraging more AA games. And I think to get back to what Wesley, you know, original point in question was, like, I think you can ask id, like, you know, id's practically just mastered the progression, the level design, the enemy design, like, and that's another thing I didn't give a shout out to, is that like up until a certain point I was feeling like the enemy design was sort of, you know, rewashed, repeated, and like some of the enemy designs that they've introduced in the last like third of the game have been like outstanding, incredible. So I mean, like, they're still, you know, innovating there. They're still doing little bits here and there. I think with the security of a Microsoft, you know, a security of Game Pass, you don't have to go out and sell 4 or 5 million units every single time you put one of these things out at $80 a pop. It's, I think it allows them to sort of make these sort of smaller, cooler, tighter experiences, and I am all for it, because like I don't need like crazy amounts of Doom. I just need like, you know, enough to keep me going until the next one. And yeah, I'd love to see like how, you know, what if it went Cyber Doom and you just went like super into the future, and what if you went to like, you know, prehistoric Doom where it's just like melee only. Like, yeah, sure, fuck it, why not? So yeah, I think you know, the game pacification, this might be a controversial take, but I think it's ultimately a better thing, because you're going to end up with more games that are not having to, you know, chase these like unreachable goals.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that, you know, they released the numbers, like this was the most played Doom game, of course, because it launched on Game Pass. I mean, I do think it's interesting that you're saying you feel like this is more of a minor entry. I mean, I don't know what all the inner workings of it are, but this one they took, I think Doom Eternal was 2020, right? And this would have been 5 years, obviously factoring in COVID. But that's still pretty much a full length game development cycle, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. It would like, you know, if we had like a video feed, I could pull some B-roll and kind of prove my points here. But like it feels, and maybe it's just because I'm 5 years removed from Doom Eternal, I didn't, you know, revisit any of it before playing the Dark Ages, so like some of that stuff might just be how those games were as well. I always remember them sort of leading into the next one a little bit more organically, but it could be that that's always been the thing. And I know that was the thing with like the original Doom and Wolfenstein, that they were very like level based. So one last shout out. I know this is just, we've said like last point like 4 or 5 times, but another shout out is that the level design in this is great, because it's like there's sort of like more open areas. There's lots of exploration, God of War style like perspective puzzles. So they are, I will say, where areas of the combat and like the progression don't feel as innovative, I do think they've innovated in other ways, like in the level design and the enemy design, things like that. Enemies that require you to you know, react certain ways and things like that. So yeah, I mean, like I said, as long as they have like a strong vision, like I feel like they had a strong vision for this game and what they wanted it to be, you know, like, yeah, let's go medieval Doom, and the shield was like, I mean, all of it's really inspired, which I think is the highest praise that I can give it, because like it definitely feels like everything was built around those sort of core pillars of what they wanted it to be, which, you know, once again, like kudos to id, they are great at doing that. So yeah, I mean, as long as they keep coming up with cool ideas and you know, like making them play and feel as badass as they're known for doing, like, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like this, maybe not your favorite Doom game, but it sounds like that if some of the specifics here appeal to you, this could be somebody's favorite Doom game, and that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Well, shit, I can't go to hell anytime soon, so maybe I'm going to pick this game up and give it a try now.
I absolutely encourage it. And with that, with Doom being released, that's sort of kind of like a good spot to sort of look back at the last 4 or 5 months here and reflect. But yeah, I mean, where are you guys at with like the games of this year? Like, what have you guys played? What's the, where are you coming down on 2025 as we head into the second half here?
Man, it's been a good year. It's been a good year for me. Tell you, I mean, you got, as you said, Clair Obscur. We had the Blueprints. I mean, gosh, take, Split Fiction. It just seems like, looking back on it, it doesn't seem like we're already 5 months into the year, but like looking back, we've had a lot of really good games.
Yeah,
Matthew,
I think.
How are you feeling about specifically? I don't know where you were going to go with this, so sorry if this like totally derails you. But how are you? Where are you at with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2?
Pretty high on it, honestly. That's one of the games that I have consistently gone back to play small chunks of. Yeah, I'm pretty high on it. Like it was one that even as I was playing, I haven't finished it, haven't finished the main campaign, but as I was playing other games and had set it aside, I was still thinking back to it, and it really got its hooks in me. So yeah, that's definitely one that I'm going to be aiming to finish up, especially now that there's the first DLC just dropped, and I think it's got 1 or 2 more DLC packages to go this year. So it's going to be one that I certainly wrap up for Game of the Year consideration.
I want to shout that out as well, because I think with the Oblivion remaster Shadow Drop and just kind of tinkering around with that, it got me really jonesing to try that game out, despite like kind of being turned off by like how hardcore of like a sim it is. And so I think I'm I
think it's like the first I don't know 8 hours or so were pretty brutal, and I know there's been several patches since I went through that, so that maybe it's a bit smoother now in some ways. But it was like, but it felt correct in terms of what happens in the story. You basically are, one of the early beats is you basically lose your status, like you lose the proof of who you are, and you're just a nobody, and you have nothing, and you kind of just have to kind of figure out a way to make ends meet, like literally to put food in your mouth, and that feels scrappy in a way that is it has to be intentional, right? It really matches what you're going through there, but it's like, man, like I have no money, I can't buy anything, I'm having to like steal to keep my hunger meter up, and it really demands that you kind of meet it at that. Like it's not a game that you're just going to pick up and casually play. Like it wants you to meet it where it's at, but if you buy in and you commit to it and you actually engage with the systems that are at play there, it's fantastic in my opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Was there anything else that you wanted to shout out?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think this spring, I mean, if we're gonna divide the calendar into, obviously there's the summer, but like the spring and fall video game seasons, we're kind of entering an inflection point here before the Switch drop and all that. I think this spring season, which I'm defining roughly as like February through May-ish, I think it has been as strong a spring as I can remember, really. It seems like every other week there's been like the number of must play for me games that have been coming out have been dropping at a much faster rate than I can actually keep up with. So
it's been an interesting generation this go round, because it does almost feel like we're in that phase where Sony, or PlayStation specifically, was hitting its stride with, where you saw, like, all of those games, Final Fantasy VII Remake and God of War and Spider-Man, and it was just banger after banger after banger after banger. But the interesting thing about it this go round is that a lot of that stuff is third party, and it's a lot of like Kingdom Come Deliverance and a lot of these like independently developed games, or games that don't necessarily have like the big budgets that those games had, but they're still having like the critical and commercial success that those games did have. Like, it almost feels like we're in a wave of just like new IP and new like franchises being born in the game industry right now.
Yeah, I mean, the first party games for the major platform holders have been pretty light, or almost non-existent this spring.
Third parties have been carrying
it hasn't really mattered. Yeah. I mean,
with that being said, like, looking to maybe the second half of 2025, like, I mean, because like I know I mentioned like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, like that's a game that I'm definitely going to try and visit before the end of the year, because I do have a feeling it's going to make my top 10 list. But is there anything in the next half of the year, like, I mean, how are we feeling about the next half of the year, considering how strongly we're kind of all collectively feeling about the first half?
I'm kind of hoping the energy kind of continues. I mean, I think next month we have Dune Awakening and FBC Firebreak just as a wonderful appetizer for the next half of the year.
Well, also there's a new console launching next month.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the Switch 2 coming out. New Mario Kart. I mean, I like I said, I'm hoping that we've done good. We've got a nice stride going.
Yep. I mean, like not beyond the Switch 2, which Matthew's getting a Switch 2, I know. And so
we can rob Matthew.
We will. Hey, stop. We will. We will at least be able to cover. Matthew, what games are you getting? I assume you're getting the Mario Kart bundle. What else are you getting, or at least planning on trying out?
Yeah, so it's TBD right now. I did get the Mario Kart bundle, and honestly, Mario Kart is the big one. That's probably where I'm probably gonna put a lot of time into Mario Kart. I'm excited.
And I mean,
about that.
it's kind of because like, correct me if I'm wrong. It's Mario Kart at launch, and then DK is in July, so it's a month difference between those two.
Correct. Yeah, it's like a little over a month, I think.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think that's a good
new Kirby game, right?
It's the expansion, or is it a new one, or is it the expansion of the one that's already out?
They're doing like they're doing I think there's the expansion and then the Switch 2 version of the Switch game, which, don't get me started on all that crap. I'm not a huge
We'll
fan
have plenty of time to talk about
that.
that. Yeah, we can touch on all that when we when it's here.
Would love to get your thoughts on a lot of that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think speaking of Nintendo, I mean, I was thinking of, Metroid Prime 4 is one that I think is going to be a Game of the Year contender. And that is launching on Switch 1. So I'm super excited to at least get a chance to play that, despite not getting a Switch 2 immediately at launch. But I imagine the Switch 2 version is going to look real pretty.
Yes, that'll be one I play for sure as well. But I mean, I think like the fall lineup looks pretty strong too. But the summer, like even looking to next month in June, there's a lot there as well. I mean, like you mentioned, we have all the Switch 2 stuff. There's Deltarune.
We didn't mention Death Stranding.
And Rematch, which has been on my radar just because of who's making it, the developers of Sifu.
Yes, I'm very excited for that. That's a Game Pass day and date as well too.
Yeah, it is, and I think is that. We were talking about this before. I'm not sure if that's also launching on PlayStation Plus. It might just be Game Pass, but
yeah, I think it's just Game Pass.
Okay, yeah. And then The Alters is coming out next month, which is from the studio who did oh gosh, what's the city building? Wesley, help me out here.
Frostpunk.
Yes, thank you, Frostpunk. Yeah. So, which I was a big fan of
I've been
Frostpunk,
hearing
so.
about. I was going to say I've been hearing a lot about the Altars, and also Mind's Eye. Can someone give me the TLDR on one or both of those games real quick?
I believe Mind's Eye is GTA, but
It's X.
you have PTSD.
Yeah, it's like X
So-
Rockstar. It's supposed to be really cinematic. Like I've kind of like put it.
Yeah. I'm Mind's Eye is definitely on my radar because I'm fascinated by what's going on here. It's Leslie Benzies, who was like the guy at Rockstar from like the lead dev on every game Rockstar made between I think GTA 3 to GTA 5.
Yeah.
And he spun off to make his own studio, and apparently like Mind's Eye is supposed to be like the starter intro to this like sort of persistent online live service world that they're making. Now I don't know what the status of that is. I think there's been some rumors that it's canceled, but I mean, if you look at the trailer for Mind's Eye, it looks like the GTA DNA is all over it, and it looks like it's just going to be like a over the top sort of. It's supposed to not be that open world, but just an over the top shooter.
Man.
From the guy who did, Grand Theft Auto, or had a big hand in Grand Theft Auto. So
That's the big thing about the
definitely got my
second
eye on it.
half of the year, I think, is that you've kind of got two categories in the, I think you've got a lot of AAA, quadruple A, if you want to call them, games coming out in the next 6 or 7 months. And the two categories are essentially like, your traditional first party bangers and then a whole bunch of ex AAA studios dropping their first games, and so it's kind of like there's it could be potentially like crazy if it's anything like the success we've seen with games like Clair Obscur and a lot of these first time teams publishing their or developing their own games.
Listen, I'm putting all that energy into Mind's Eye. Definitely need to see Lightning Strike twice with that, especially with how great Clair Obscur has been.
Matthew, what's the TLDR on the Altars? Because I am interested in city builders, but Frostpunk was always a little bit too hardcore for me.
Yeah, so the Altars it's not a city builder. It's actually billed as a survival game, but it's one where you are on an alien planet and you are essentially creating clones of yourself with different specialties in order to try to survive and make it off this world. But you also have to kind of deal with like your own clones, interpersonal dramas, which is an element, I guess, that was in Frostpunk too. A lot of like sort of social and societal issues that contend with what the mechanics of actually, keeping your civilization running. But yeah, it feels like the Altars is a little bit more, I don't know, like a little more propulsive forward, whereas Frostpunk, you were just building the city. The Altars feels like you go into like a third person mode and explore the world in some sections to like find resources and do things. So
that's interesting. All right, that might be more my speed then.
Yeah, it's giving Mickey 17 vibes.
100%. That has to be a huge influence here. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You guys might have
I think
sold
that's
me
a Game
on
Pass title as well. It might be I think it's Game Pass.
Great year for Game Pass, guys. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, I think, with that being said, I think, we're going to take a little break here and then we'll be right back to close out with some things we've been killing time with lately. And we are back with the first of what we're hoping is going to be one of our rotating segments called What You Been Killing Time With Lately. We're just kind of going to talk like, agnostic, video games, TV, whatever. Just what we've been doing to kill time. Matthew has not been killing time. He's been slaving away over at work. And so it's just Wesley and me. Wesley, what you been killing time with?
Well, as you know, dear brother, growing up, I have dealt with a lot of ADHD, getting distracted, and I just have the worst time getting chores and tasks done around the house.
Can I tell you,
But
as a now 34-year-old father of two who never really struggled with it growing up, that I think I also have ADHD?
I can feel it. You have these moments
Yeah.
where I can tell.
Yeah.
Like from one to another. I think you got it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
hey, good news for you. There is an app that I always daydreamed about where it's like, what if I could take my tasks? Because we all love playing video games. What if the task of doing the dishes, folding laundry, taking your medication became quests to do in a video game? Right? So let me introduce to you guys an app I found called Habitica. So it's this kind of cutesy, pixelated app that is centered around helping you lock in on your tasks and assignments. You'll, download the app. It's free to use. Of course, they have their little microtransaction things that you can kind of get here and there, but it's all cosmetic stuff. And the idea about it is you set tasks daily, weekly, monthly, whatever. And you set the parameters of the difficulty. Like I have on
So
here.
it's like totally
taking
custom?
medication. Yeah, okay. It's you create the tasks, and then is this a positive habit or task? Is it negative? Is it something you're trying to avoid?
Oh.
Like eating red meat or beating off 13 times in a day. Things like that.
Yeah. Things that you might want to
you,
encourage yourself to do or avoid.
Or not do. And so they have difficulties of like trivial to hard. And so if you complete the task or don't engage in the task, you reward yourself by completing it. You're given then experience points and currency like gold coins, and then you go to the market. Your avatar levels up over time. You get weapons and armor. You can hatch creatures, and if you take care of the creatures, they become badass mounts.
So I mean, I guess my follow-up question here is then like when you're going on these quests, is there like an additional gamification layer, or is it just kind of like you're checking off like your to-do list and like you're getting like, is it more like, does it feel like is it like a Oregon Trail type like text-based adventure, or is there more like, are you doing actions?
There's definitely more visuals behind it than just being text-based. And this is the best part about this app, guys, is that you can actually create your own online parties with random people or your friends. So you can partner up with me. I'm a level 5. I don't have a class yet. At level 10, you get a class. You have a fighter, rogue, mage, and a healer. Your typical fantasy RPG type stuff. But so then we all create a party, and then we can purchase with in-game currency quests. Kill this creature or that, and and there's visual components about it where your level, your health, your strength, you have skill strength, intelligence, stuff like that. All that comes into play with going on these quests with you and your friends. But the only way you can do it is by doing your daily chores. So I've been using it for about almost 2 weeks now, and the difference is like night and day. Like the house is getting cleaner.
Is it like honor system though? Is it like, like, can you just like...
It is. I mean, yeah, it's honor system because there's nothing stopping me from just clicking on like, oh, taking this, I'm doing this task. Bum, 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 bum. Now I'm like a level 100. But I guess the drawback is this app only works for people who want to actually do better. Like if you're just gonna, bullshit with this thing, then in a matter of minutes, you're gonna like, oh, okay, I'm done with this thing. But for someone who like actually needs guidance and structure, but wants it in a fun way, Habitica, please give it a try, everyone.
So my question here, and I actually my phone tells me I've downloaded this at some point in the past. I don't remember it, but does it feel like, I I guess what my question is it going to make you feel guilty if you like have a bad week and like are like slacking on your chores? Like, is there like, there's obviously some positive reinforcement for getting this stuff done, but is there also like negative reinforcement to where you're like gonna like, you already feel bad about not doing your chores this week? Is this gonna make you like, you know, like, I don't know, whatever the end game.
You're gonna start spiraling here.
Yeah.
Let me just say the Duolingo bird is nowhere near this app.
Okay.
You have nothing to fear.
Okay.
So the only thing that I view as, I guess, negative in that sense is like, okay, like I wanted to be level 6 yesterday, but I didn't do some of my tasks, so I'm looking at my app right now and like, oh hey, it shows me I got my cool little dragon, but I'm only level 5, but I just need 49 more experience points and I'm level 6. So if anything, I just know that when I wake up tomorrow, I'm hitting up as many tasks as I can. You know that bed is getting made as soon as I get my ass up.
Hey man,
Nice.
I'm happy for you. I will continue to play Minecraft Dungeons with my daughter because I hit level 10 today and we got some sick ass loot.
Nice. Well, I folded my laundry and cleaned the toilet, and I unlocked a sweet new sword.
Wow. Look at us. Speaking of weaponry, that's a nice little transition here to what I've been killing time with, and that's been, it's a good opportunity to highlight a game that's yet another Game Pass game, but one that just launched in game preview on Game Pass, and that is Towerborne, and that is from Stoic. You might know them as the developers behind the, oh god, I should know this, hold on, the Banner Saga. Yes, the Banner Saga trilogy. So think, you know, like hand-drawn, very, you know, like beautiful art style. Matthew, describe the Banner Saga from a gameplay perspective here, because I believe there's going to be some pretty distinct differences between it and Towerborne.
Yeah, I mean, Banner Saga was like a tactics. I would describe it as a tactics game, primarily in like a not 2D, but I guess it was 2D on the overworld, and then you were on a grid when you were in combat.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's starting to jigger some memories there. So Towerborne is like completely different. It is essentially their take on Castle Crashers as a live service game. So I mean, you create your own character, and you know, you go out on, you know, like there's this big like kind of world map that you're sort of exploring tile by tile, and each tile is essentially a Castle Crashers level. You just run through and you just smashing stuff. You know, and then the added perk is there's a loot system, and it's a very basic, you know, like standard loot system. But you know, you've got 4 main classes, each, you know, one kind of like, you know, I would compare it similar to like a Monster Hunter, where like they have a weapon that is sort of like their primary weapon. So like you've got a guy with like big gauntlets, you've got you know, obviously like a sword and shield, a couple of different there's like 4 different character classes, archetypes, and then, you know, you're collecting loot, you know, that's sort of geared around your character and your build, and like, you know, there's a progression system. You're leveling up, you're putting skill points. You know, I mean, I think it's overall, like, I mean, for a game that's sort of in early access, I think the main drawback here is that there just doesn't, you know, that the content's not there yet, and obviously that's something that they're working on and they're going to add to over time. You know, like there's like, you know, really I've played like 5-6 hours of it, and you know, it's really kind of been like the same 2 biomes over and over again. But I mean, I think there's a foundation here for, you know, like if you remember like Castle Crashers and just how, like, you know, just the fun like 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up action, you want something that's got a little bit of a service, you know, Destiny style element to it. Great 2D hand-drawn art style. I would describe like the presentation, like I would compare it to like classic 90s Disney animation, even down to like the music is very like, you know,
I was going to ask about the music because it's Austin Wintory who
Okay.
yeah. So and he did Banner Saga as well. So is it? Can you see his influence here, or is it like is the music good?
I'm not. Yeah, the music's incredible. Oh my goodness! Like, so I'm not as familiar with the Banner Saga's OST. I have heard Austin Wintory's name as like kind of like a well-known composer though, so it's good to make that connection. But yeah, I mean it's great. Like I mean truthfully think of like I would say like a swashbuckling Disney esque like are you getting the picture that I'm painting here in terms of just like the.
Like it sounds exciting.
There's horns. There's dun 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 dun. Yeah, it's very triumphant. It's very like adventurous, and I think the art style really complements it very well. It's very, like I said, it's very 2D. It almost looks like a Sleeping Beauty style animated movie where it's like the animation is just very very smooth. I'm playing this on my ultra wide with like 100 frames a second. Sorry, guys. But it looks great.
I'm excited to check this out. I enjoyed Banner Saga. I didn't finish the series.
It's co-op, 4-player co-op. So let's do it.
Ooh.
Yeah, this one.
Well,
this
so
one,
here's my question, because you described it visually as like a Disney Disney type themes, especially with like the music and everything. Does that also translate into the story? Is there a heavy story? Paint me a picture with that.
Not much. I mean, it's akin to like a Destiny story where it's like, yep, you are a hero of Towerborne. I happen to be looking at the Wikipedia right now. The heroes of Towerborne, they're known as aces, and they're set out to reclaim lost territories and make the land safe while refugees make their way to the Belfry. And like, that's cool. Like, that's all the setup you need. I think obviously like I think you're gonna get more out of like the art style and the sense of place, and like really it's all just so charming. The Belfry, which is kind of like the akin to like the Traveler, I think, or not the Traveler. What's the main hub world in Destiny? Either way, it's your main hub world in this. It's
Talking
very
about the tower.
Yeah, the tower. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean the Belfry is very, very much like imagine like a, 17th century French town, Italian town, European town, just very ornate. Like it's just, the art style is really cool. The gameplay is fun, it's smooth. I like what they're doing with the progression and like I said, there's a good foundation here in terms of just the art direction and all of that stuff. So I would love to see what it looks like, at a 1.0 release.
Yeah. Like I said, I want to check this one out. This looks cool. It doesn't look like there's any kind of ETA for full release. It looks like it entered early access on PC in last year, and just entered early access on Xbox. Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's a good game. Definitely recommend checking it out. And I promise, like, I'm not sponsored by Game Pass, but that's just as a father of working dad of two. That's just how I consume my games most these days, and it's just kind of like the best way for me to experience new releases. So yeah, definitely recommend that one if you want something early access and live servicey, and you were a big fan of Castle Crashers back in the day. But yeah, that's going to do it for us today. Wesley, is there anything you want to say to the people before we leave? You took another hit of your Benjamin when we were coming back from our break. Any like insightful thoughts to leave people before we left?
I just want everyone to know, okay, from the bottom of my heart, I'm literally outside your door right now.
Great.
Okay? You're listening?
Yep.
I'm right outside your door. Let me in. Let me in.
I
Let me in.
am going to let you guys go, and we'll figure that out. Of course, thank you guys for listening to us. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your podcast service of choice. Leave us a review. Let us know how awesome you are and what else you want Wesley to do to terrify me in the dead of night. We'll drop our social handles in the description if you want to follow us on your social platform of choice. And Matthew, I'm going to hold you accountable for reminding me to throw that Reddit thread in there about the Doom lore. With that being said, guys, thanks for killing time with us, and we will catch you guys on the next one.